free.
What is a nigger? What is a nigger?
A black guy.
I think it's an attitude. If I'm honest, there's some people I will look at and the way they carry on and their attitude, and I'll say that that's a nigger attitude. So it's an attitude.
Would you say that, that would be a reason as to why so many young black individuals are dying today?
I think a lot of people are dying because of some of these key things that you mentioned here. Yeah? The attitude and a certain mentality. Yeah? Because, and I want to explore this a bit more before we go into it though. I want to look at more, like, what are the attributes of this attitude? How does this display itself? What is a nigger's attitude? What's in a nigger's attitude? Negative, yeah? You've got limited paper, so bear with me. To be a nigger, or a nigger, aside from its official, like what it really means in its definition, people have come up with the concept. It's an attitude, it's a mindset, it's a way that people act and behave and think. Yeah? So I'm asking that if that's the case, I'm not saying any facts here. I'm asking questions. Yeah? If that is the case, then can only black people be niggers?
Never hear no Indian person or no white person calling each other.
The funny thing is, I think as a result of black culture being as influential as it is, there are one or two Asian people that I've heard refer to themselves as Paki. And they say, no, call me that. And I'm like, no, I can't call you Paki. I can't do that, this is a derogatory term. There seems to be like this concept that some people are accepting a word as a negative term that should never ever be used. But some other people, like Chris Walker said, there's black people and then there are niggers. And that niggers are like ignorant black people. So on here, we've got, seems like a definition of negative black people.
If you believe that we shouldn't use the word, no one should use the word full stop. If you had power, you were the Queen Elizabeth and you had your own name, and you could ban that word, make it illegal. Make it illegal, yeah? Raise up your hands. If you don't want that word to be used, raise up your hands. King, Queen.
Doesn't come in handy for anything.
Free.
But there were many other examples of Africans rebelling on ship, taking over the ship. And as we even heard from Equiana there, people, even if they couldn't take over the ship, would just jump overboard. So they just kill themselves. Anything to avoid being enslaved. So that spirit of resistance is very, very important to remember, that the main resistors against slavery and slave trade were Africans themselves. In Africa, on the ship, in the Caribbean, in the US, and here in Britain as well, people like Equiano and so on and so on. So for the start, I'm going to ask you a question. When did the first Africans arrive in Britain? Anyone got any idea? First Africans arrived in Britain, when? How long ago? How many years? Daniel? About 500 years ago. Excellent answer. Very good. Only wrong. No, but it's a good answer. It's a good answer. So it's not 500 years, it's more than 500 years. Any more answers? Anybody else want to go? Okay, person 800, which is a very good answer too. Not quite right. Yeah, Lewis. 2000 is very good. Very, very good and very, very close. If we go back to Roman times, Roman Britain, okay, which is roughly almost about 2,000 years ago, we would have found African here. And one of the most famous of those Africans is this guy in this picture here. This man was called Septimus Severus. He was the Emperor of Rome. Emperor of Rome, but he actually came from Africa. He came from Libya in North Africa. His name was Septimus Severus. He was Emperor of Rome, therefore Emperor of Britain. And he died here in Britain in the year 270. Okay. So I wanted to show you that in the 18th century, all kinds of people were here. This is a woman on the left. Her name was Elizabeth Dido Lindsay. It's a very unusual painting because she's kind of in the background of this painting, if you look. She's in it, but she's kind of not in it. Okay. And this guy here is the most famous of all these Africans in the 18th century. Famous for what? What was he famous for? Don't know. Writing a book. Okay, what did he write? Very good guess. An inspired guess. Yeah, he wrote a story about his life. The most famous autobiography or narrative of the 18th century. Interesting narrative of Alauda Equiano, published in 1789 here in London. And he was also a member of this organisation, the Sons of Africa, the campaign and so on. He was born in what is today Nigeria in 1745. He was kidnapped with his sister when he was about 11 years old. And if we have time, I'll show you a film about him this afternoon. And his autobiography was a bestseller. It went into about 6 different editions while he was alive. And he campaigned, lectured, spoke up and down the country. Everybody would have heard of him. Very, very famous man.